Good morning, everybody. Pastor Aaron here. On this 32nd day of Lent, I thought I would simply take a few moments and tell you my Jesus story. I grew up in a pastor's home, and thus I was readily immersed in the church and all things from it from very early years of my life. I remember watching my parents who didn't really have their church until I was about 16 years old. But I watched them pulpit supply, which meant that often dad went to one church, mom went to another church, and they would fill the need for leadership and teaching leadership in that church until a more established plan could be made. And so we were very eclectic. We were raised within the Assemblies of God, but we were taken to, I think by the time I could, by the time I gave up counting, probably 20 some odd churches with a dozen to 15 different denominations. And, it gave me a very interesting view of the church because I believe that each one of those churches gave a unique perspective to the Bible, and what they emphasized was something that dropped a seed into my life and helped me to understand that there is not one mother church and not one way that is the best way. There is Jesus. And Jesus sometimes is demonstrated in a multitude of different communities. And so growing up, it was interesting. I watched my parents and I watched their experiences in the church. And frankly, I don't really know how they did it. To watch the hardship that I saw occur in their lives and the many times that they got so close to what we thought was God's plan for them, only to have the rug ripped out from underneath them, and how they plowed through that adversity over and over again. My mother becoming an institutional chaplain, my father becoming a craftsman, bar none with regard to construction. The only guy I ever knew who didn't know the meaning of the word caulk, but this was our experience. And I remember growing up, and I don't know what it troubled in my young heart, but I remember thinking to myself that being a pastor was the very last thing I'd ever want to do. And as I grew up, I discovered within myself that there was the ability to navigate what was expected out of me with regard to my parents, with regard to the church. I figured out how to go and how to, the best way I can explain it, play both sides of the fence. Aaron was a sneaky sneak. Aaron led a double life. And so to those people who knew me, they knew that I was not the person who perhaps in church I could portray myself to be. And I didn't fool really anybody, and I didn't really fool God. And so ultimately what I discovered was God was watching. And through my later teen years, God gave me experience after experience where he showed up and basically said to me through these experiences, do you really think that I can't see what you're doing? Ultimately, those experiences led me to Bible school where I tried to get thrown out, even if it was subconsciously, because I did not want to do what God wanted me to do. But the unique position about that is when you come to the end of the cliff and you realize that you can't go backwards, but to go forwards is going to kill you. When you make that step to go forward, you're actually stepping into the best position with God that you can, because you're losing control. And if I could tell you my Jesus story has been one of fighting God for control every possible moment that I can. And here I am, 50 years old, serving in a church now a little over 9 years, being in a place where I never thought I would be doing what I never thought I would do, looking at a future that I thought I would have 20 years ago, and yet at the same point, God is now saying to me, now it's time. That loss of control is a powerful thing. And if I could say my Jesus story could be summed up this way, I would say it, I've lost, so that I've gained. And what I have found allows me to look at people sometimes across my desk, people who are very hurting and very broken by sin, and not just tell them from an academic position, I've been there, but tell them from a lived position, one that's experienced it. I've been there, and here's what held me. Here's what kept me going. I believe in Jesus. I believe that he died on the cross. I believe that I was a sinner who needed a Savior, and Jesus was the Savior that I need. And now my life is about taking that message that was formerly shrouded in criticism and skepticism and bringing it to a world through God's message and through discipleship and through trying to be, as a pastor, as real as I could be. I didn't have a text this morning to share. I just kind of wanted to share very unrehearsed, this is my life. I serve God because he's proved it. God bless you.